Hello everybody and welcome back for some weekly VR news. As always, I'm Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. So today we have a bit of good news, bad news, and then more of the same. When it comes to new releases and game updates, there's some cool stuff to go over, even some stuff that slipped past me last week. But when it comes to bad news, Meta's revenue is down further than it's ever been before. And on the good news side, Steam VR 2.0 is here, bringing some really nice updates. So we'll get into all of that, and there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by my sponsor, Kiwi Design. Have you added about 15 accessories to your Quest 2 and it no longer fits in the official case? Well, don't worry because Kiwi has you covered. Kiwi's brand new carrying case guarantees to fit 9 accessories. There's pockets for extra cables, an ample amount of padding, and a hard exterior to help protect your device, plus a nice sleek black water resistant design. There's a link in the description to their website, and don't forget to use discount code Mateo311 for 5% off and to help support my channel. Okay, so let's start things off with the check-in, and that's what exactly have I been up to. Well, I'm currently playing through Ghostbusters VR, and I have a bit of a first impressions that we'll get into next. On top of that, I'm playing Stride because I want to do a review of that game. That is years in the making. I'm very curious to see how that's coming out. And additionally, I have my November game releases coming later this week. That'll be Wednesday. So you could see all the titles coming out November on all the different platforms. And this is another pretty stacked month. Now, before I get into my first impressions on Ghostbusters VR, Rise of the Ghost Lord, I just want to mention how divided the community seems on this one. It's pretty insane to see the comments. Some people are trashing every aspect of it. The voice acting, the gameplay mechanics, the graphics, you name it. Then there's the other side where people are saying, wow, this has surprised me. The storyline's pretty cool. It gives a really good introduction. I love the gameplay mechanics. They require you to, work in tandem with your buddies and build a good team. And where I currently stand is, yeah, I agree. It actually gives a great first impression. It is exactly what I expected, and that is a kids-friendly version of something like After the Fall. There's no blood and guts. It's, like I said, very kid-friendly. And for those who wanted the old school 1980s Ghostbusters, that's not what you're getting. You're getting a new age Ghostbusters, a lot more cartoony. And since I expected that going in, I was fine with it. Yes, I was a big fan of the original Ghostbusters movies and everything that came along with it. And this is not that by any means, but I still believe it honors the original series, and they've created a great gameplay loop. My only concern is longevity. Now, I haven't played enough to see if it's, really grindy just yet. I've only done like 4 or 5 levels, and I did some solo, some with my buddy Reese, and then 1 or 2 with some randos. And what I'm seeing on the rando side is it's all really young kids. So that would be a turnoff, obviously, to someone of my age, especially like the original Ghostbuster fans, who should be in their 40s at this point. But I believe the target demographic was not the older generation that grew up with Ghostbusters. It's the younger kids. Honestly, I think the Quest in general is going to be targeting younger kids more and more because they want that brand recognition. They want people to grow up with the Quest and continue to use it for years and years and years. Just like, you want to suck people into the Xbox or the PlayStation or Nintendo Switch early on. I think Quest is now in that same competition. So that's how I feel about Ghostbusters. My opinion might change over time, but right now it's exactly what I was expecting, and I think it's pretty damn cool. And I know some people are going to be pissed at me for this because they're like, this is Gen Z Ghostbusters. And well, it's made for Gen Z. Now, before we go into new releases and updates, I actually missed a few items from last week. I did go over a bunch of titles that gave us a Halloween update, and one of them that I missed was Zero Caliber. They now have a free Zombies DLC. So you could jump into that type of survival mode and just mow down tons of zombies until your heart's content. So if you have that game, here's one more reason to jump back in. And a new release that I missed is actually, wait, give me a second here to prepare because I'm going to butcher the name. So the title is Out of Scale, but it's from Kurzgesagt. I think I did okay there. If you've ever seen their videos, they're on YouTube. They do these really cool animations that are also educational. And now they made a video game, which actually I jumped into and thought was really, really cool. It's all about scale, just like the name says. So you're going to be going through a pretty fun storyline, but at the same time, you're going to be switching between like the scale of a mountain and microscopic, or even the atomic level, I think you go down to. And you'll be analyzing different things at those different levels, learning information along the way with some pretty cool Kurt Kazak style animation throughout. I thought it was really cool. If you're into educational stuff, you know, simplistic, casual gameplay modes and a cute little storyline, go check it out. I enjoyed it. But let's move on to some newer items. Now, originally, I thought the list of games releasing this week was quite short, but it turns out I'm wrong, and there's about 4 or 5 new titles coming, including the first one, which is the Foglands. You play as a runner who's basically a hero to their underground community. They venture out into the Foglands in search of supplies, and your journey will have you running, jumping, sneaking, and of course battling an array of creepy monsters with both ranged and melee weapons. The Foglands is attempting to not only give us a story-rich, character-driven narration, but also some dungeon crawler shooter action and roguelike gameplay mechanics in an atmospheric world. Now, appearance-wise, it looks great and reminds me a little bit of Lies Beneath, so now I'm just really curious to see how it plays. Now, I'm also really excited to explore more of Vampire the Masquerade Justice. This is a stealth-based action RPG that's set in the world of darkness. Now, if you're not familiar with that setting, it's a lore-rich, deep, and creepy world. Now, Vampire the Masquerade focuses specifically on vampires. Now, Vampire the Masquerade's Bloodlines that released back in 2004 was an absolute classic, and I'm definitely ready to jump back in this world from a VR perspective. Justice has you using your vampiric powers to sneak throughout Italy, climb along rooftops, blend into the shadows, and take out some unsuspecting victims. Now, if you enjoy stealth-based titles, you should definitely keep an eye on this game, and make sure to like, subscribe, and turn notifications on for this channel so you don't miss any coverage I put out for this game. Now, the next new release coming this week is Pickleball One. Pickleball One allows you to master America's fastest growing sport. For the layman's out there, it's like a scaled-down tennis. It's playable in both single player or with up to 4 people in online modes. Besides competitive matches, there's also fitness and training modules, which includes items like wall drills, practice sessions, and pickleball related workouts. Now, it's unlikely I'll get around to checking out this game, but if you're interested in the title or have tried it, please let me know what you think down in the comments. Now, another title that I probably won't spend much time on is the VR version of Powerwash Simulator. Now, I understand how going around and power washing things could feel extremely satisfying, but as an old adult who has to do adulting things, I could get that same satisfaction while being productive and actually power washing my own deck and house. Now, if I feel myself dying to power wash something during the colder winter months, or I really want to power wash something with my friends, well then I'll go check out Powerwash Simulator VR. And our final new release for the week is Space Salvage. Space Salvage is self-described as a darkly comic, 80s sci-fi themed VR space flight, combat, and refuge collection game. You'll explore the galaxy in search of credits, carefully navigate through space debris in order to pick up some salvage, and even get into a bit of space politics and interstellar warfare. I'm definitely curious about this title, but it's not really my style. Now, moving on to new updates, we got gameplay trailers for VRSO, Bareknuckle Fighting, and also Arizona Sunshine 2. Bareknuckle Fighting garnered a lot of attention a few months ago when they showed off some stills with surprisingly good graphics on the Quest 2. Now, the announcement trailer definitely keeps the excitement level up because not only do the graphics still look great, but it also looks like we're getting a full-fledged and absolutely brutal fighting game. My interest is piqued and I'll definitely keep following this one. Now, our next gameplay trailer is for Arizona Sunshine 2, and I'm already beyond excited for this title because I was already able to play a 45-minute demo of it. I posted that video a month or so back, and the Cliff Notes version is basically the graphics are great, the gameplay is extremely fun, and adding a dog to the title was just a great decision. I definitely can't wait to jump into the full version of this game, which I'll obviously cover later down the road. Okay, so let's round this video out with a little bit of good news, bad news. Getting the bad news out of the way, Meta's Reality Labs revenue is at its lowest point ever, which is definitely understandable and not something like Meta didn't account for. They know the whole XR thing is a long-term strategy. They know, they're going to be spending more, making less. It's understandable. You also have to understand the revenue they do generate doesn't come close to covering their expenditures right now because they know they really need to spend a lot of money, invest in XR technology to build it to what they want, to get it to scale, to get it to be mainstream. So don't get too upset about this if you even knew, like if you think it impacts you. We see it on the YouTube side also. Like excitement for VR has been dropping off over the past year until the Quest 3. It's finally popping back up. So with the Quest 3 being launched and the holiday season coming, we expect that revenue will also shoot back up because we already see interest shooting back up. Now, let's not spend too much time on that because it's just one of those things that happens. It's the normal cycle up and down of VR. Let's move into something a little bit more exciting, and that's Steam VR 2.0 being available to everyone now. Now, it was accessible in beta for a month or so, and now that version is available to everyone, and it does change some things. It's probably not the most exciting update because you're still going to play the same games, you're still going to access them in roughly the same way. However, it does show some really cool plans of what Valve is actually working on, or at least working towards. This update now gives you all the features you had on the PC version and also the Steam Deck version in VR. So that includes a bunch of, cosmetic changes, the ability to use some emotes, stuff like that. Overall, it's a much nicer UI, and it's good to see it streamlined across every platform. But kind of like the hidden stuff that we're seeing with this new update shows where Valve wants to go. And that's, again, like everybody else is trying to do, that's increased retention. It looks like their new Deckard headset, which, if rumors are true, will be a standalone headset and will have XYZ functionality. But on the software side, what they're adding to this is basically, just like the Steam Deck, take all of your flat games and go. They want to make all your flat games playable in this VR environment. So now you have this VR headset that you can take with you and play Steam VR everywhere. You could play VR in standalone, you could play all your 2D games, and you have like a really good headset to do that. It's going to be it looks like it's going to be a buildup of their Steam Deck technology. So the UI interface came over, some of those changes coming over, all those features, and then basically this new retention increasing feature, play all of your Steam games wherever you go. It looks like that's coming down the road.
And that was today's video, brought to you by my dad, Mateo311. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here,
consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing. We'll see you guys on next time.